Hey everyone, so we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off on yesterday's video. So this is part 2 of All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. Just to kind of summarize, so we know that the setting of the story takes place on Venus. We know that it's been raining for 7 years. Oh my gosh. So scientists are believing, right, that it's going to stop raining, the sun's going to come out. We also have Margot, right, who is one of the characters in the story who actually lived on Earth, so she knows what it's like. The other kids don't believe her. She's definitely, different than everybody else. She has a hard time even like conversing with them, making friends, even playing games with them. So yesterday we left off, and she was talking about, well, the scientists say today's the day, and this was the response from one of the kids. "All a joke," said the boy, and seized her roughly. "Hey, everyone, let's put her in a closet before the teacher comes." So that's where we left off yesterday, and that's where we're going to pick up today. "No," said Margot, falling back. They surged about her, caught her up, and bore her, protesting, and then pleading, and then crying back into a tunnel, a room, a closet, where they slammed and locked the door. They stood looking at the door and saw it tremble from her beating and throwing herself against it. They heard her muffled cries, then smiling, they turned and went out and back down the tunnel just as the teacher arrived. "Ready, children?" She glanced at her watch. "Yes," said everyone. "Are we all here?" "Yes." The rain slacked still more. They crowded to the huge door. The rain stopped. It was as if in the midst of a film concerning an avalanche, a tornado, a hurricane, a volcanic eruption, something had, first, gone wrong with the sound apparatus, thus muffling and finally cutting off all noise, all of the blasts and repercussions and thunders, and then second, ripped the film from the projector and inserted in its place a beautiful tropical slide which did not move or tremor. The world ground to a standstill. The silence was so immense and unbelievable that you felt your ears had been stuffed or you had lost your hearing altogether. The children put their hands to their ears. They stood apart. The door slid back, and the smell of the silent, waiting world came into them. The sun came out. It was the color of a flaming bronze, and it was very large. And the sky around it was a blazing blue tile color. And the jungle burned with sunlight as the children, released from their spell, rushed out yelling into the springtime. "Now, don't go too far," called the teacher after them. "You've only got 2 hours, you know. You wouldn't want to get caught out." But they were running and turning their faces up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. They were taking off their jackets and letting the sun burn their arms. Oh, it's better than the sun lamps, isn't it? Much, much better. They stopped running and stood in the great jungle that covered Venus, that grew and never stopped growing, tumultuously even as you watched it. It was a nest of octopi, clustering up great arms of flesh like weed, wavering, flowering in this brief spring. It was the color of rubber and ash, this jungle, from the many years without sun. It was the color of stones and white cheeses and ink, and it was the color of the moon. The children lay out laughing on the jungle mattress and heard it sigh and squeak under them, resilient and alive. They ran among the trees. They slipped and fell. They pushed each other. They played hide and seek and tag. But most of all, they squinted at the sun until the tears ran down their faces. They put their hands up to the yellowness and that amazing blueness, and they breathed of the fresh air, of the fresh air, and listened to the silence which suspended them in a blessed sea of no sound and no motion. They looked at everything and savored everything. Then widely, like animals escaped from their caves, they ran in shouting circles. They ran for an hour and did not stop running. So I want to stop and talk about that just for a second. So simple things, guys, that we take for granted. For example, sunshine, right? So if we stop and we think about some of the things that we do have, and we think about some of the things, that maybe other people are lacking, I think it kind of makes us grateful for the opportunities that we do have and the things that we are able to do. Okay. So it says, and then, in the midst of their running, one of the girls wailed. Everyone stopped. The girl standing in the open held out her hand. "Oh, look, look," she said, trembling. They came slowly to look at her open palm. In the center of it, cupped and huge, was a single raindrop. She began to cry looking at it. They glanced quietly at the sun. Oh, oh. A few cold drops fell on their noses and their cheeks and their mouths. The sun faded behind a stir of mist. A wind blew cold around them. They turned and started to walk back toward the underground house, their hands at their sides, their smiles vanishing away. A boom of thunder startled them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. Lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile, a half a mile. The sky darkened into midnight in a flash. They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. Then they closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever. Will it be 7 more years? Yes, 7. Then one of them gave a little cry. Margot! What? She's still in the closet where we locked her. Margot! They stood as if someone had driven them, like so many stakes, into the floor. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced out at the world that was raining now and raining steadily. They could not meet each other's glances. Their faces were solemn and pale. They looked at their hands and feet, their faces down. Margot. One of the girls said, Well? No one moved. Go on, whispered the girl. They walked slowly down the hall in the sound of cold rain. They turned through the doorway to the room in the sound of the storm and thunder, lightning on their faces, blue and terrible. They walked over to the closet door slowly and stood by it. Behind the closet door was only silence. They unlocked the door even more slowly and let Margot out. All right, so it kind of is an interesting phenomenon that, Margot knows what it's like. The kids teased her, and then she missed out on the whole thing, right? And I think that the kids also took Margot for granted, right? I mean, she tried to tell them, like, yes, this is what it looks like. It's real. But at the same time, they weren't having it. So what I have for you guys, I'm going to read it to you. So I have a journal entry I want you guys to think about. How does the lack of sunshine affect the students on Venus? Okay, so think about, they talked about some of the colors, right, specifically with Margot, and think about the way that they act and certain things that they do. And I want you to provide evidence from the story. Also, what are ways in which the students on Venus can occupy their time since they cannot be outside? Think about what you may be doing to occupy your time while at home. Okay, so today, this is Tuesday. I'm recording this video, or no, today's Monday. Oh my gosh, see, I'm all out of the sorts, people. I miss you. So this is Monday. This is for Wednesday's video. I'm trying to stay ahead of the game. And it's snowing outside right now. There's snow on the ground, so I don't think that I'll be out too much, but you guys, you can still go outside. You can still go for walks. You can still play in your backyard. Maybe you guys want to build shelters like Brian's winter. I don't know. But take a look at that journal prompt if you're feeling, that you want to answer those questions. Again, I miss you guys so much. I miss our time together. Hang in there and feel free. Email me. Say what's up. All right. Miss you guys. Bye.